Weaponeer here. This time we're going to be covering a POSP 8x42 scope. Now if you take a look at this scope, this right here is a POSP 8x42. This is made in Belarus, and this is an older model, but basically they're almost identical. With the older models, you had the little rubber cup to go ahead and protect the front lens, and then you would take this cup and you basically drape it over up on top of the wheel, and that way you can go ahead and keep it out of the way, keep it from dangling around. And if you were shooting in an AK, you didn't want to have this flopping around next to the charging handle. But this right here is basically designed for an AK. This will fit, the AK mount just fine. I don't have any problem at all. Matter of fact, this right here was the scope that I originally had mounted on this right here. This right here is an SKS. This is a Yugo 5966 SKS. This is the one with the grenade launcher on it. This is the only one that's actually considered a rifle. And this one here is a little bit unique in that I have a scope mount right here. And the scope mount is designed specifically to fit these type of scopes. And all you do is you go ahead and, let me put this down for a second. And because I have this locked, I only got so many hands. And then you just basically lock this on. And once it's locked on, if I can lock it on. Once you have it locked on, then you can go ahead and, then you can go ahead and use it for taking it to the range. The AK model is a lot lower, and that's why you have a difference between the AK and the PSL. The PSL models have a much larger, much taller, I should say, not larger. It's taller from top to bottom. And when you go ahead and let me mount this one on here really quick, if I can. And when you mount these, this one here has been the one that's been adjusted for this rifle. And as you can see, there's a lot more distance right here. The reason for the distance right here is so you actually have room to see your iron sights. With the regular model, you don't have that much room. With this model, you have a lot of room. That's specifically what it was designed for. Now, we take this one off again. Now, this one right here, so this is my old one. This is about 10 years old. And this one here is a new one. Now, they both look basically the same. The only difference is this one right here has the AK style of mount, and the main difference is it's shorter distance between here and here, and this scope right here hangs over the rifle more closer to the center of the bore. Everyone knows that the AKs are on the left, but this one right here goes over farther than this one right here. This one right here actually hangs off to the left much further, but there's a reason for that. The way the SVD was designed, it was designed initially to be used with stripper clips, and then they went ahead and they dropped that requirement. But after they dropped the requirement, none of the other requirements were changed, so they still had that distance so they can actually load it. Then they found out that it was better to go ahead, since they hadn't needed the requirement to use stripper clips with it, they also had the ability to go ahead and see the sights. And that allowed them to go ahead and really refine their style of scopes quite successfully. And the reason I say that is because on like a PSL or SVD, you would normally go ahead and use your iron sight from like 0 to 300 yards or meters. And then after that, then you would use your scope. And your scope would go from there on up to about 1100 meters, depending on the scope model. If you have a regular type of scope, like a AK scope, well, they less distance with them, but that's because of the rifle. Now, they come with these cases, and it's a simple case. It's just Velcro on the top, and like I said, very simple. And they would typically have your manual inside. And the manual is not going to help you out a whole lot unless you read Russian. But it's not a big deal. For me it isn't, because you're actually getting the actual the actual manual that came with this and all the instructions and everything else. And we'll also go ahead and have handwritten the scope serial number right here. And anything else that's pertinent to your scope. So that basically covered warranty information and things like that. So you have this little bit of information inside your case, and I always keep mine in there. Now, here's the oldest model I have. Pay no attention to right here. This is just the eye cap, and basically what I do is I've been taking this one and moving it between two scopes. The reason I've been doing that is because this one has the eye cup that's kind of shaped like this, and it's really comfortable when you put your face up to it. It really blocks out all the light, where the other style, like this, it does block out light when you put your eye up to it, but there tends to be a slight gap. Now, if you were in a combat area and you turned on one of these scopes and the illumination started up, well, not only would you have light coming from this thing, you'd have light spillage on your face, and that's detectable in night vision scopes. The only other problem is, well, you'd be able to go ahead and see the light from the front as well. Not a great thing. Now, they do go ahead and you can actually take that cover. This is a stock cover. I should state this cover right here says POSP right on it, and it comes with this new scope. Now, but everything else is basically the same. It's just an updated scope. Now, why I say updated? Well, this is the 8x42 delta, and the delta stands for D, and delta D. And what that means is it's the diopter model. And the diopter is this right here. All it is a simple little dial, just like most of your other scopes. You can dial it in, dial it out, and what that does is basically when you look through the scope and you're looking at the crosshairs, which is mainly on these models will always be chevrons rather than a real crosshair. And when you're looking at that and you're looking at the numbers could be slightly blurry depending on your eye, your eyesight itself. Now, once you get older, it gets a little bit difficult to see something close up. So you're able to go ahead and take this and adjust for glasses, or you can go ahead and shoot without glasses if you can actually adjust this to go ahead and make it so you can see those numbers nice and clear, and then you got your 8 power to see your target. Very well done. Very well done. These are magnesium scopes, so it's built like a tank. It really is. That thing's pretty large. You should see my larger model scope. I've got a zoom scope, and it's nowadays probably considered a smaller of the zoom, but it's huge, just like that. But this right here is quite a large scope, but at the same time, it's actually quite light. There's not a whole lot to it. I mean, this weighs 31.7 ounces, so it's not a paper weight. I mean, it's not a feather or something like that, but it's really not bad at all, considering this has this mount connected to it and it's ready to go. If you go ahead and include the light, the mounts for your other scopes, it's going to be probably that and more. Magnification's 8 power on this, and the operating temperature is minus 58 to plus 122. That's basically minus 50 to plus 50 Celsius. The battery cap is right here, and you can unscrew that, and this takes like watch batteries, and it's not going to be difficult to get because it's an Energizer battery. It's a 2L763 volt battery, and you can probably go ahead and pick that up at Walmart. Like I said, it's not that difficult to get a hold of. Right here, it looks like a little switch, but it's not. If you unscrew this, it'll have a small little light bulb in it. Now, light bulb that comes stock is typically red, so this right here is a red light. And by putting the batteries in here and turning it on, you're going to have a red glow. All your numbers and stuff like that and your lines are going to be glowing in red. But you can go ahead and buy these little batteries. You can buy these little lights in different colors, like green and yellow, and so you can go ahead and screw those in there, and rather than having a bright red, you can change your color to green or blue or orange, like an amber, and you'll be able to go ahead and see the light just perfect for whatever whatever works for you. All of these are your typical style of turrets on here. They're well marked. You don't have to worry about anything like that. They make a nice, good, audible click. Probably picked that up. The switch right here, well, the switch, it basically just turns on the light, turns it off. I got to give you one bit of warning on these. Unlike US scopes on red dots and things like that, red dots will typically turn off after about an hour if you got an expensive one. This will not. This will turn off as soon as you flip the switch. So if you go ahead and leave this on and forget about it, you can probably expect the battery to be dead the next time you check it. I mean, in a week or whatever. Probably last all day and night quite easily. I know mine have, but you got to watch out for that. Make sure that when you're done, look into it, see if you can see a red glow. If you can, turn it off. Nice and simple. I already told you this is magnesium, and it's 1 pound 15 ounces. Overall dimensions 16.1 inches by, what is it, 6.1 inches, and I think it's 3.1. So angular field of view on this thing is 3 degrees, so you got 3 degrees field of view, 8 power. That basically really takes care of everything about this except for the reticle. And when you're using something like this rifle right here, 7.62 by 39, well, this has a reticle that's designed specifically for 39 or 54R. And the reason it can do that is because the 39, well, the 39 doesn't have a very long distance, but the 54R travels a lot more. So the 54R matches the reticle design just right on. The 39 is really close, and the reason I can say they're really close is because, well, these weren't designed for target shooting. These were designed for center mass hits. So depending on the distance. So good scopes. You don't have to worry about anything. The other thing is, when you're taking a look at this style of mount, this is basically a big dovetail, and when you slide it on, it will slide on and then it'll stop here. And rather than this style that will slide in and then stop on the front, it'll have a stop on the front of the mount, and then you go ahead and you lock it in place. Well, a lot of people, they go ahead and they put this on and it stops, and it looks like it stops before the end, and they're like, I've got the wrong scope, it doesn't fit. And well, that's just the way it's designed to work. You're supposed to go ahead and just slide this on right into dovetail. It's got a much better dovetail design than the other ones, and once you get it into that slot, you run it until it stops, and then you just tighten her down and you're done. And you can go ahead and take this and you can untighten it, or you can tighten it more. It's very easy to go ahead and get it adjusted, and once you get it adjusted, you never have to worry about it again for that rifle. You go ahead and remove this from the rifle and place it back, and your sight's going to be right dead on still. They do a very good job of that unless your dovetail starts getting really worn on the rifle, the dovetail mount on the rifle, or on here, which really not a whole lot to really wear. But typically the return to zero is really good. These are built like a tank, so you don't have to worry about the use of these. I mean, this comes with the nice black finish. This is the newer models. You can tell a new model from the old model because the old model will be gray. New model will be black. new old model black. Because when they started going with the newer models, they started painting them black rather than the gray. But that's still an older scope. This one right here and this one right here, basically it's the same pattern, as you can see. They look very much alike, even hold it up to the older scope, very much alike. Layout and everything's the same. The only difference is this one has the diopter and the other ones do not. This right here, it comes from Webby Shops, is where I pick up my scopes and all my optical gear. I choose them because they tend to have some really good prices, and I can go ahead and be assured that I'm going to get a really good scope. In the case of this one right here, it's as good of a Russian scope as you can really get for this price range. These are really good scopes. They're all made in Belarus. That's where all your scopes are typically made for Russia right now. Very simple. The reticle is a little bit different than what you would normally see. If you're, let's see, if you have yours for the AK, then your chevrons, you can have the top ones can be 100, then you're going to have 200 and 300. But when you're talking about a 1,000 yard or 1,000 meter reticle, that's in this one right here. In this one right here, you're going to go ahead and have, 1,000 in the top, and then you're going to have 1,100, 1,200, and 1,300. It's a little bit different than what you would normally assume. You can tell the ranges by taking a look at the left-hand side. When you take a look at the left-hand side, you're going to see, right down the center, or about the center of the scope, you're going to see the chevrons. And those chevrons run from the middle on down. And then to the left of that, you're going to see a scale. And the scale has a flat bottom line, and then on the top of it, it has a sloping line that goes from big to little. And if you take a look at that, that's designed so you can go ahead and place a zombie terrorist in there from head to foot. Once you place the feet on the bottom line and the top of the head on the top line, then you basically know what distance they're at. So if their head touches the line at 200 yards, you know that they're 200 yards away. That's the way it's designed. Now, if they are crouching, they're on their knees or something like that, or sitting down, you notice there's another line on there, and that other line is like the midway point. And it's a little dash above it. That means that they're, just half the target away, and you use that line to go ahead and figure out the bottom scale. It's very simple. It's a lot more difficult to go ahead and explain, which is why I'm showing you the video how this works. It is very simple. All you have to do is go ahead and you put the target on that line, and whichever the top of the head touches, that's the distance. And then you go ahead and you use your little chevrons, and then you use the chevrons to go ahead and go out to that distance. You can go ahead and see it sitting on 400 or 300. The top of the head is sitting on 300 yards, or 300 meters, I mean. And then, hey, you just use the third chevron down. You're dead on using that chevron. Nice and simple. It also has it has a regular crosshair style in there, but that's basically in there for windage. So you can see the windage marks. Remember, for 1 meter, it's 1.11 yards. When I think of meters and yards, I basically just say it's the same, because when you're going ahead and you walk out to 100 yards, it's going to be right in there. The bullet's going to be right in, just not far off. So when you're talking yards and meters, it's not worth really calculating the difference unless you're at 1,000 meters or so. Then it's different. The finishes on these things, I was telling you about the black finish on here. Well, this right here is one of my old models, and this right here is my oldest model, and this one's about 10 years old. Once again, it's 8x42, made in Belarus. And the difference is, other than the paint color, well, this thing has no paint wear on it at all. I don't know if this is a baked on finish, but this is an extremely durable finish that covers the magnesium. I have zero wear on any of my AK scopes at all. No scratches, nothing. These are very durable scopes. These are not dirt cheap scopes. I mean, you're not going to go ahead and pick one of these up for $59.95. This is a really good quality scope. The optical clarity is very good. I mean, a lot better than you would ever think. Really easy to use. Like I said, trying to figure out the range and stuff like that. They're very simple to use. It does have one quirk about it. This is the same for all the Russian scopes, whether it be POSP or some of the other ones. The kind of weird thing about them is, with the US scope, you got your crosshair, and then you go ahead and see the crosshair, put it right dead center of the bullseye, and the crosshair is always in the center of the scope. You adjust your dials and left and right, and you look through the scope again, and the crosshair is right dead center. Not so with a Russian POSP. When you adjust your, make the bullet go up or down, get things zeroed in, what's going to happen is that reticle line with the chevrons is going ahead it's going to float within there. So a lot of times what happens is, like for me, I end up having it in more up and more left than center, and that's typically where it worked for me. You might be higher or lower, it doesn't really matter, but you're going to notice that the whole reticle moves within the scope, and it's very durable that way. It's just one piece of glass, and you don't have these fine little crosshairs or anything like that. There's really not a whole lot to go wrong. These are designed to be abused, and they're going to last you a very long time. You can get these in models that have a Weaver style rail on it rather than an AK. So you can go ahead and buy one of these and use it for your 308 or your 30-06, anything right around the 7.62 by 54R ballistics is going to make, it's going to work with this just perfectly. But you can also work with it for 7.62 by 39. Basically, any 30 caliber works really good with these. So that's basically it. Works for 39, works for 54R, made in Belarus, adjustable focus eyepiece, which is your diopter, and that's a big deal. This is the Webby shops is the only one that I know of that have this style, and they just had this scope on sale. You just missed that. I think in November. I think they were selling this scope for $199, which is a killer deal. Go ahead and go to the Webby shops. I'll have the I'll have the URL below in the description. Check it out. Check out all their scopes. Remember that the difference between the AK and the PSL is basically the height. PSL scope mounts will be taller and typically more to the left than the AK style, which the AK style will be more over to the center of the barrel. They don't go to the center of the barrel, but they go more closer to the center, and they're lower. So basically, the AK style was not really designed to use the iron sights. You can, but they're not designed for it. And with this model right here, it's designed to use the iron sights. So you can go ahead and use your iron sights without removing the scope. Great idea. Like I said, it's a fantastic scope. If you're looking to go ahead and mount a scope on your AK or your PSL, this right here is highly recommended. Webby shops, I get all my scopes and stuff from them, and I trust them, which is why I'm giving them a really good review on this scope right here. If you have any comments or questions on this, feel free to post it below. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to rate my videos. I'm Weaponeer, and I'll catch you in the next one.